Yo, why was I recording? I wasn't even recording. Ah. Take two. This is your girl, Stephanie Tough Love Brown, and I am coming to you, making sure it's recording. I'm coming to you with a video for survivors, for those who are diagnosed with HIV and who feel as if they have no hope. I'm here to tell you that there is still an opportunity for you to get yourself back, baby. If not what you were before, then even more than what you think that you are capable of. And I can say that through experience. In 2006, at 19, I was diagnosed. And from there, I felt like there was no hope, but still a part of me, spirit inside of me, told me not to let go, not to fall victim to this thing. But now there's a mission in front of me, and my mission has been to get in front of as many people as possible so that nobody else falls into my shoes. 2006, diagnosed at 19. 2009, I started working in the field with a nonprofit. I felt like I just wanted to give back some way, somehow. But between those 3 years and for 10 years, I was going through a lot of depression. It was rough within those first 8 years as far as my depression. And I allowed myself, I was patient with myself to go through that process. I did a lot of messing up. When I say I did a lot of messing up, there were people I didn't disclose my status to that I was supposed to legally, because I signed a waiver saying that I was going to, or signed a paper that's saying I was going to, an agreement. And from there, I would beat myself up again mentally. Eventually I told them, but of course, because my life started to progress from there, but I knew that I wanted to do something. But again, the depression really kicked in. I started I started smoking, and really just wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't getting any sleep. And then in 2009, they had put me on the medication, the antiretroviral medication, and my body just started breaking down from there. Because again, the medication is toxic. I'm not gonna let that go. I don't care what anybody says. There is a mass agreement to the meds being toxic. So the medication was toxic. It had me tired. My mood swings were crazy. I was angry sometimes. I was not wanting to be around other people. I was just all over the place. I was a mess. But I knew that this was not in vain. My existence was not in vain, and neither is yours. Your existence is not in vain. This happens for a reason. Whether it is that you need to do a self-check to say, now I'm going to treat myself better. This message that comes in. What you think is a mess, this message actually comes in at a divine time to either for you to do better or you're not. So I decided to do better. I decided that I wanted to find out what I could do to help people, for one. And then two, in the midst of all of this, when I was still going to school, I was still in college when I got diagnosed. I did not get out of college. I did not drop out because it was my outlet. Every moment that I could get on campus to look up HIV and AIDS, I did. Every paper after that was about HIV and AIDS. I was angry. I was emotional, but I allowed myself to be angry and emotional. Because it's real. Emotions are real. And when we get angry and when we accept those negative emotions, things actually change and things actually move. And I wasn't feeling sorry for myself. It's one thing I did not do and still don't do. I don't feel sorry for myself by no means. I found out the purpose. I'm always optimistic about things. So when I graduated college in 2011, and from there, I stopped working with the nonprofit. I started working with a nonprofit 2009. I started working in the community and sharing my story and going inside of the detention center. And I let go of that in 2011 when I graduated from college. In 2012, I came across MTV on Facebook, and then I became a part of a documentary called I'm Positive. And you can still look up that documentary if you'd like. Go to mtv.com and look up I'm Positive. And I was a part of a campaign called Empowered. We were the pioneers of the Empowered campaign that you see now. You can also look that up. The face for that was Alicia Keys. Shout out to Alicia Keys. Shout out to everybody that I met, because I met some awesome people, some amazing people, made some amazing connections with people. But in the midst of all of that, I was still by myself. I still felt like I was by myself, because I would come home single, no children, no family in the state at the time with me, so I just couldn't see family members. I couldn't be around people, but the isolation was needed, so I used it. I used that downtime. In 2012 was when I got back into my artwork. So everything happens for a reason. Every single thing in your life happens for a reason. So I got back into my artwork, and in 2013 I began working with another nonprofit and started facilitating support groups. Absolutely fell in love with it, because now I was in the face with people, and I could actually be an example of what hope looks like and encourage them. And it wasn't about following a curriculum that was based on keeping somebody on meds, which I hated, because the focus for me is to help those who are going through the depression and feeling as though they have no hope, because that's how I felt, and I didn't know who to reach out to. I didn't have anybody to reach out to in my journey until I started to come out and speak, and that's when I started to find out that there were some people who I knew that were diagnosed as well. And I use quotation marks because I'll get into that in another video, or probably a video that you've already seen on my Instagram. I fight for us. I fight for us. And I'm in the background being an example and reading and taking care of myself. I started to eat different when I noticed that when I was taking the meds. I started to eat differently, just letting go of beef and pork, eating more of my veggies, and all I drink now is unfiltered or alkaline water, just little things. But again, I'm patient with my process. And there's a process of letting go of fear. Fear is the only thing that they give us in the medical industry. Pharmaceutical companies, these doctors, all they do is give you fear. And if you're always operating off of fear, then you don't allow yourself to know what your potential is and your capabilities. My capability is asking questions to these so-called specialists, because they're not the specialist you are. You are the ones who are taking the meds. You are the one experiencing this. You are, hate to say it, the guinea pig. They don't know anything about taking the medication unless they were diagnosed. And 9 times out of 10, they're not diagnosed. So when they tell you to take something and then they're not even listening, which I've seen before, then you have to start speaking up. You have to be your own activist. You have to be your own advocate when it comes to your health and your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health. You have to be your own advocate. Therapist. Here in North Carolina, there's hardly any help when it comes to individuals who are diagnosed with HIV. And there's a huge problem with that. No one is suggested or given the resources to go to therapy. You kind of have to find out on your own, or you got to ask about it. It should be one of the first things that they give you. They don't talk about nutrition, because if you start eating healthier, then of course it leads to you being a healthier person, and you may not have to depend on your meds anymore. If you start getting into knowledge, then it takes you away and allows you to see things on the outside, and that's where I'm at. I'm about reading books and looking outside of the box that they have built for us and said that we have to live in when it comes to being diagnosed. And let me tell you something. When you let go of fear, you're feared. When I started asking my specialist questions, they start pulling out more tubes to have blood work done. Do they tell me that? No, they don't tell me that. They start questioning me and asking me, why am I asking them questions? They start to feel defensive. They start looking at you differently. They start treating you differently. My journey, I don't convince anybody to do, but I do encourage you. I encourage you to start letting go of the fear, because there's nothing to fear. Say it again. There's nothing to fear. If you feel as though you want to get off the meds, then by all means, then do it. If Spirit tells you to do it, by all means, do it. Just know that there is a process in letting go of that fear. I used to believe that letting go of the meds meant that I was going to die. Not at all. I'm the healthiest I have been since being off the meds. But again, it's everybody's own process. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm telling you my story and where I'm at. But again, I'm not your enemy. Some people look at me and say that I'm wrong for making this video and posting it. People have been wrong for lying to us for years. I'm only doing what Spirit tells me to do, what I've been called to do, and that's to help people. So, I'm not going to even say if you have any questions, because the questions can get very overwhelming. But I will try my best. If you do ask a question, you can email me. If you have a question, you can email me, tuplove1@gmail.com. You can find me on Instagram, and I'll post all of that below. But you can find me, and you can ask me a question. One of the questions that someone had was about the medication and how they use a viral load to... I hope I'm getting her question right. She asked about the viral load and how the medication helps with that. The best way that I can answer that is that they look at how much of the medication is in your system. And they like to say, because they got rid of if they know anything, if anyone has been keeping up with it, they got rid of the importance of looking at the white blood cells, your CD4 count. CD4 count, of course, going back is your white blood cells. You know, white blood cells are what makes up your immune system. But what they don't break down to you is that your immune system is your gut, is your actual gut, is your digestive system. And if your digestive system is out of whack, your immune system is going to be out of whack. So if you're not clearing out the toxins in your digestive system, protease inhibitors, protease enzymes are what help break down food. It helps in your digestive system. There are enzymes in your digestive system that help break down the food. To inhibit something means that you are slowing down the process of it or completely stopping it. Protease inhibitors, stopping the process of enzymes in your digestive system to digest food. That's what's causing the breakdown in your immune system. Terminology is something they don't talk about. So when you start breaking down the terminology, you start to realize some things don't make any sense. Protease inhibitors are what's in HIV medication now. The antiretroviral medication has protease inhibitors in it. Truvada is one of those protease inhibitors. But they tell you that it's something good for your system. HIV medication breaks down every single cell in your system. Every single cell, whether healthy or not. It kills every single cell in every single system in your body. But if we don't know this terminology, if we don't know any of this, then we kind of bypass it and we allow somebody who doesn't really care or have any compassion for our bodies to dictate our life and our health and tell us that we have to take those. But your body is literally breaking down from taking the meds. So what are you left to do? You let go of the fear. Let go of the fear. If you're not there as far as letting go of the medication, start asking your doctor questions. Start asking your specialist questions. Ask them how they got into the field. What makes them get into the field of HIV? When I asked my specialist that, she had no compassion whatsoever. It was very rehearsed. I asked her about the viral load and how you get the viral load test. It sounded really old. The procedure sounded really, really old and outdated, for one. And then two, it was... how she answered was just really straight to the point. There was no discussion about these things. And then the last question I asked is, given the body is an amazing machine and the creator makes no mistakes, do you feel as though it can get rid of the virus? She says no and walks slam out the door. She walks slam out the office. Nothing else. Nothing else asked. And that's when she pulled out 9 tubes from my lab. I asked the phlebotomist, because I work with a phlebotomist, so I already know the answer to these questions. I told the phlebotomist, could you tell me what these tubes are for? Because each tube has a colored top to it. So they can tell you what each tube is for. And she blatantly tells me, no, she can't do it. And tries to laugh it off and smile about it. No, she just can't do that. So whatever the doctor told her in her notes when she was pulling the paperwork from my labs, that's what she was hiding from me. So we're being lied to every single angle of this thing, because doctors don't know. They're only listening to pharmaceutical companies. So when we start letting go of fear, we have the power to shut this shit down. Let me say it again, brothers and sisters. White or black. We have the power to shut this down. But if we keep holding on to fear, it's going to be a continual cycle, an overdue process. Again, I could only be an example, so I hope this video helps somebody. If you have any questions, tuplove1@gmail.com. You can find me on Instagram. I'm about to get out of here and get some lunch in my system. But I hope this video helps someone. And if there's any way that I can help, if you have any questions, please let me know. I love y'all. Peace, light, and love. And make sure that you read.